surrounding jungle. She tugged the brim low and asked, "Have they hurt anyone?" Moa nodded grimly. 2 fishermen. The first day, there was supper. Hanalei sobered. It was a reminder she needed sometimes of their danger. These were not only beautiful creatures to admire and study. She had followed the pod west, sailing past the Strait of Salamasina and along the ancient waterways. For 6 months, she had tracked their migration, a sighting here, a shipwreck there, the hull cracked and splintered, tooth marks along the mast. Definite signs of sea dragon. Today, she found herself on an island just south of Kalama, one too small to warrant a formal name or spec on any map. Everyone just called it Little Kalama. The landscape was hilly, thick with trees that twisted and spread around man-sized ferns, home to colorful screeching birds, fruit doves and kingfishers, parrotfinches and lorikeets. A village lay at the southern end. It was there that Hanalei had disembarked the night before, lured by rumors of a pod sighting. Hanalei said, "I saw 20 dragoners docked at Kalama. 1 word from you, and they'd be here." With their harpoons tipped with poison and their enormous 4-person saws made especially for slicing through dragon skin. The thought sickened her. Moa's lips twisted. They'd come quick, yeah. 20 dragoners, 5 sea dragons. What's worse? Hanalei smiled. She liked this guide. With dragoners, one did not have to worry about being eaten. But the sailors on those ships often brought with them a different sort of catastrophe. An oversea disease, typhoid and the pox, or violence mixed with drink, or an over-fondness for island women. Exotic was a word Hanalei knew well and despised dearly. It was not uncommon to hear of a stolen daughter or sister or mother. She had even heard of a grandmother of 12 who had vanished and gone, dragged away by sailors. "What's worse?" Moa had asked. "The dragoners," she answered. "Yeah." A mosquito had taken an interest in Moa's nostrils. With one quick swat, it became a black smear on his palm. Absently wiping his hand on his trousers, he added, "Yesterday, the green one, it eats a whale. All by itself. My cousin saw." Hanalei's skin prickled. She eyed the green sea dragon drowsing on the ledge. That was plenty just for one. Why did it eat so much? Grabbing a fistful of fern for balance, she leaned as far over the grotto's edge as she could until Moa's warning drew her reluctantly back. Watching from here was no longer enough. She needed a closer look. She rose to a half-crouch, taking care to stay hidden behind the ferns and trees. "Hey!" Moa hissed. "Where are you going?" Hanalei pointed to the steps behind him. They had been carved into the grotto walls and led directly to the water. "Down." Moa stared at her. "Why? From here is good. Don't be crazy." "I'll hide behind those rocks. They'll never see me." A satchel hung by her side, crafted of waxed hibiscus bark to protect her belongings from rain and seawater. She rummaged around inside, and as she did, what looked to be a whistle hanging from a cord around her neck swung free. It was made of bamboo, 4 inches long. A pair of intertwined sea dragons had been carved along the wood. The sight of it distracted Moa from his warnings. He goggled. "Is that a sound catcher? A tamarindi sound catcher? I've only seen drawings." He rose, casting a furtive glance at her hands and the scars that covered them. "I thought you were from Rakakala." "I never said I was." He had seen her scars and drawn his own conclusions. She had let him. Hanalei tucked the sound catcher away beneath her tunic, pressed against her heart. Moa heard the change in her tone. Less friendly. She could see it on his face. It did not stop him from asking the question that was always asked eventually. "Then, who are your people?" She had none. She was her father's daughter, an exile, and her father was gone. Hanalei pulled a silver squid from her satchel and held it out. "Thank you for bringing me here. I'll find my way back." Moa looked at the coin she offered. He looked at her closed expression, and finally took the hint. Waving away the silver, he said with a sigh, "Nothing for you, sister. Be careful." At his words, the longing for home